Industry News for New Starters. Hi, it's Andrew here from Underground Training, and today we are starting a new segment that's going to be Mining Industry News for New Starters. I just wanted to do this to get some information out there for people trying to get into the industry, because it's a complex industry to try and get into. It's not straightforward. Depending on which area of the industry that you want to go into, it depends on what you're going to have to do. But first, let's have a look at some things that are going on in the industry at the moment. And I just want to start with the news that's coming out of Queensland with BHP, with their Mitsubishi Alliance, and the Fair Work Commission's ruling on the same job, same pay. Yeah, this is a good result for everybody working up there. They're going to get paid the same that everybody else is going to get paid. I just want it to be clear that this isn't a common industry occurrence. The only place that I knew that this was going on was in coal in Queensland. It doesn't happen in Hard Rock Underground with the labour hire companies. With Hard Rock Underground, you're not a permanent labour hire. The whole idea behind labour hire in the underground space is to get employees into your workforce. So you use labour hire to find the people. They do about 6 months with labour hire, and then they move over to your workforce permanently. That's not how labour hire is used in Queensland on a lot of sites. I understand that, but I just want other people to understand that this isn't how the whole industry works. So there's going to be a few more sites by the looks of things in Queensland that are going to get touched up with this, and there's also some stuff with the oil and gas over here in WA, where apparently it's going on a oil and gas side as well. But like I said, with the iron ore and the Hard Rock Underground and the surface, yeah, that sort of stuff doesn't happen. When you go labour hire, it's for the company normally looking for a permanent workforce. You know, if you hear someone telling you that you're going to get a shirt, normally that is coal mining talk out of Queensland. So these coal mines up here in the north of Queensland is where that sort of talk comes from. So this is the Australian Atlas with all the coal mines loaded up into it. As you can see, it's basically Queensland and New South Wales. We've got one in WA here that we throw the coal straight into power generation, but the rules are so strict over here you can't really open any more coal mines. The other thing that I wanted to talk about with coal while we had it is I wanted to use it as a good example of what goes on when a mine shuts down in a particular area and the flow-on effect that's going to have happen. So this is around everywhere. There's a coal mine that's got about 500 people on it that looks like could be in a bit of financial trouble. Hopefully some people will come to the rescue with it and it won't go under and these 500 people won't lose their jobs. But what are the implications if 500 jobs go from that particular mine there? So if we go back to our map with all our coal mines on it in North Queensland, if you get a mine shut down with 500 experienced people on it, what you think happens pretty much happens, is that those people get sucked up into the workforce around the place. And when you've got 500 experienced people looking for work, what don't you need? You don't need new starters. And so that's one of the reasons why at the moment coal in Queensland and coal in New South Wales, they're not looking for a lot of new starters because they've got a lot of choice. So there's only really two places in the industry where they're looking for new starters, and that is in Hard Rock Underground and surface exploration. So for those that have been with the channel for a little while, they'll recognise this map a little bit more. So this is all the gold and copper mines that have been put into our map around Australia, and this is where they are looking for people because the gold and copper price is quite high. And this is the one that I bring up every now and then. So lithium's in a bust, nickel's in a bust, coal's treading water, but it's going downhill fast. It's copper and gold that are booming. Iron ore's still holding high with price, but they've turned everything driverless, so there's not a lot of jobs there, unfortunately. This means that if you want to try and get into the mining industry, then the gold and the copper mines around the country are the place to be. And like I try to keep telling people, mining's not just one area. So where do people get things wrong is when they treat it all like one industry. So with all the same standards. And I just want to show a Facebook post as an example of this that came through. and this was for an entry-level driller offsider in the middle of New South Wales. And the complaint was that, I've done my R2 certificates for dump truck, loader, excavator and standard 11 half a year ago, been working in earth moving for 17 years, been applying for every job still every day and haven't got a response. Now, the reason for that is that when you send a resume in for an S11, the S11 is the coal qualification for Queensland. You can't use it in Hard Rock Underground. And the R2 tickets, the way the Hard Rock Underground mines work around the country, none of the employers can use those R2 tickets. So when you send your resume in full of those tickets, all you're doing is saying to the employer that you don't know how their mine works. And that's why a lot of those resumes get culled straight away. If you come over to our website on undergroundtraining.com.au, in the new starters column all the way at the bottom, it's resumes before and after. You'll see the resumes before that's full of the equipment tickets and the qualifications that the employer can't use, and then the resume after that's got our training on it with a stripped down version of what the employer can actually use. With these Hard Rock Underground jobs, there's not a lot of transferable skills. If you type underground into Seek, you'll see all of them come up. But like I tell people, if I pick somebody, if you came onto my crew as an entry-level truck operator, and I had two people, I had one person from McDonald's, and I had one person like the guy that we just had a look at with 17 years experience in civil and all those tickets and all that sort of stuff. What I try to explain to people is that the person with the civil experience is probably half a day ahead of the person coming from McDonald's, because they'll have a little bit more knowledge on how to operate the truck when we teach them how to drive the truck. So they'll be half a day ahead with learning how to drive the truck, but everything else is going to be brand new to both people. So everything else is going to have to be learnt from scratch. So in effect, when you're coming across, your 17 years of civil experience doesn't amount for a real lot, unfortunately. And that's what people don't get. So when you come in and you think that you've got some skills that you can transfer across, when you actually don't, what are you saying to the foreman that's going to hire you? What are you trying to say to these people? And they view it like that. They view it like, you don't know anything about my mine. You think you know about my mine. That just makes you even more dangerous. You're better off with somebody that knows nothing than somebody that believes the wrong thing. And that's why the training is so good. It teaches you exactly what the employers want you to know. So it teaches you everything about the nipper job, the truck job, the offsider job, service crew, pace crew. It goes through the AGI job. It goes through everything that they want you to know. So you can actually hold a conversation with them in the interview, and that's how you're going to get yourself a job. The other good thing about the training is that you'll know whether you want to go mining or not once you do the training. We didn't set out to write something that was going to turn people off. We just wanted to give people an accurate representation of what they were getting themselves into, so they could make an informed decision about whether mining was going to be for them or not. And out of 100 people, we get 35 to 40 people that go, holy shit, if that's what mining is, I don't want to do it anymore. And as far as I'm concerned, if you can get away with that for, finding that out for under $500, you've saved yourself a lot of money, because most people don't work that out until they're 3 or 4 days into a job on a mine site somewhere. And, for that, if it's not working out, then, you're going to spend more than 10 grand trying to put your life back together again. But yeah, so if you want to work out whether mining's for you or not, check out the training. If you want to talk to somebody that knows how it all works, the phone number's at the end of the video. We're going to keep doing these news items each week for educational purposes. We'll put where the mining jobs are towards the back of it. I hope you found the information on the coal mines in Queensland with BHP interesting. Like I said, that's not industry wide. That's a very specific thing to Queensland at the moment by the looks of things. And I just wanted to be really clear about that. We're going to do these videos once a week on a Wednesday, hopefully putting them out. And so we'll keep you up to date with what's going on. And the more you know about how the industry works, the easier it is to get a job. And so I hope you found that information helpful. The phone number's at the end of the video. If you want to check out how the training works, the training's at undergroundtraining.com.au. Thanks.